Welcome to another tip, Quilting the Kaye Wood Way. When I first got involved in quilting, and it was an unusual story because I taught my first quilt class before I'd ever made a quilt, but I have to explain that a little bit. I was traveling throughout Michigan, Indiana, and Ohio, teaching the free motion machine arts, and one of my students said, why don't we try this quilting stuff, which was sort of what it was called. That was back in the 70s. And I said, okay, I'll be back in 6 weeks. Bring 3 pieces of fabric. Not how much fabric, not anything else, just 3 pieces of fabric. And in 6 weeks, I went back and I taught my first class. And that was BRC, before rotary cutters. And so we had to draw lines. And I soon realized that the same angles were used over and over and over again in quilt making. And I thought, you know, why do we need a template just because we change the size of something? So that's when I designed the Star Maker, the 3 Star Maker tools. And what they do is provide accurate angles regardless of size. And in the book, Star Maker Design Concepts, and the DVD, I show you over 140 different shapes that you can cut just using the 3 Star Maker tools. And I've never used another angle or another ruler in my quilt making. So I hope you've enjoyed this tip, and I hope you join me again when I bring you some more Quilting the Kaye Wood Way tips. Welcome back to Quilting the Kaye Wood Way tips. On today's show, we're going to take a look at wedges and using some wedges in quilts. What do I mean by that? Well, if you take a look at this quilt, this shape, these are perfect quilts for the going away person. If someone's retiring as president of your group, or someone special is moving away from your group, quite often quilts are made from pieces like this, and then the signatures of the group can be put in the different spots. And it's just a fun one to make, and it's also for the pointless people, which means it is super, super easy. Let's take a look at how we're going to cut the wedges. Right here on the Star Maker 5, we have a 20 in a circle. When we cut with that angle, that means 20 pieces go in a circle. But we're not going to put it into a circle this time. We're just going to use the wedge pieces. But I'm going to use that line under the 20 as my control line for the size of the wedges. And I'm going to make one cut. And we'll cut this side. And turn it over, and now that line's at the bottom. And you can cut as many layers as your blade can control, depending on how sharp it is. I think I have 4 layers here. And then what we'll do is sew them into a row. And the way we do them is to just flip-flop. And they automatically just line up this way. And you can see how fast your quilt, oh, not that way, this way, your quilt will go together. And let's take a look at, I have some pieces already put together here. Here we have 1 row, and with a second row, all you have to do to match them is to aim for the middle of the piece. You'd line these pieces up so that the center of one piece matches up with the middle of the piece above or below it. So there's no points to match. And you can either eyeball it and every once in a while just make an adjustment. But there are those of you out there who are pointed people. And I like to devise patterns that can be changed from one to the other. So if you were to take this second strip that I have and turn it around, now those of you that are pointed people can show the rest of us how great it is when you match points. And I have a quilt here made from matching the pieces. Let's just get it out here. And you can see the design that forms just from wedges. This one is for the pointed people. The one I showed you first is for the pointless people, either one, but they're all made from wedges. So go ahead and get your scrap pile out, make some wedges, and see what kind of a quilt you can come up with. And join me when I bring you some more tips from quilting the Kaye Wood way. Welcome back to my tip at quilting the Kaye Wood way. What does that mean? Well, it basically means that we're going to use tools or what we call master templates. In this case, I want to show you the Star Maker Master Templates. I designed these a long time ago. When I first started quilting, I realized that quilters used the same angles over and over again, and it didn't make sense to me that we needed to cut a different template every time we cut a different size. So I studied the angles and I took a look at them, and I think I studied more angles than I ever made quilts at that time. And there were angles that were repeated over and over again. And I thought, well, if we had a master template that would cover that angle, we could make them from miniature to extra large. And so I designed the 3 Star Maker Master Templates. And there are 3 of them. The Star Maker 5, I named it that because it was designed to make perfect 5-pointed stars. Any design that has 5 pieces coming into the center, the Star Maker 5 will do. That was the basic concept. The Star Maker 6 was the same way. When we used that on a strip of fabric, we wound up with 6-pointed stars. The Star Maker 8, guess how many points? 8 points. Well, that took care of a lot of the designs that I wanted to make in quilt making, but I found out over the years the Star Makers got smarter as they went along. For instance, with the Star Maker 5, we now have another angle that has a 20 on it, which means 20 pieces will go in a center, or it will make our wedges that I've used in this quilt right here. Doesn't matter how big or small the wedges are, that's the angle you need for the wedges. It will also do, as I said, 5-pointed stars. It will do some Seminole piecing, a lot of different designs. The Star Maker 6 not only will do 6-pointed stars, it will do perfect hexagons, regardless of the size. It will also do stars like this, and it will make trees. It will make any designs using those angles. The Star Maker 8, as I said, will make 8-pointed stars. It also has an angle. It will make a kaleidoscope. Here I have a kaleidoscope quilt right here. It's easily made, and guess what? See, it has 8 pieces coming into the center, the Star Maker 8. It also will make fans and wedges, Dresden plates. It's just endless. And so I came up with and I wrote this book that shows you 140 different shapes that the Star Makers will cut. And there's also a 77-minute video, and it took that long to explain all of the designs in quilting that you can make with just the 3 Star Maker Master Templates. I hope you've enjoyed this tip and that you'll join me again when I bring you some more quilting the Kaye Wood way. Welcome to Quilting the Kaye Wood way. I want to share with you some of the techniques that I've put together into a book called Star Maker Design Concepts. A lot of you know and realize and have used the Star Maker Master Templates that I designed, in the late 70s actually. And there's a Star Maker 5, 6, and 8. And we have a book and a DVD that you can see exactly over 140 different shapes that you can cut with the 3 Star Makers. So that should keep your quilts going for a really long time. Let's take a look at the Star Makers. Now, I designed these because I started into teaching quilting in the 70s. Actually, I taught it class before I'd ever made a quilt. I was traveling around several states teaching free motion machine embroidery. And one of my students asked me, when are we going to do some of this quilting stuff? So I said, okay, I'll be back in 8 weeks. We'll do some quilting stuff. Bring 3 pieces of fabric. Nothing about how much fabric, what kind of fabric, nothing, because I didn't know that. And so I had to set out to find out. And I started studying quilting. And I found out that from what I could see, people were working pretty hard at this stuff. And they weren't as effective as they could be. And it looked to me like it could be a lot more fun if we could simplify things. That's when I designed the 3 Star Maker tools. And the Star Maker 5, the name comes from the fact that the very first thing I thought of was making 5-pointed stars. So it's called the Star Maker 5. We have a Star Maker 6. Guess how many points the star would have? 6. And the Star Maker 8 will give you 8 points. Those are the basic 3 degrees that are used in most of the geometric quilts that are made. But they make more than just stars, many more things. Let's take a look at the Star Maker 5. Right here it says 20-piece Dresden plate, 20-piece wedges. We have an angle up here that's a strange-looking angle. Let me tell you about it. It used to come to a point when these first came out, they were thin plastic because it was BRC, before rotary cutters. And when we went to rotary cutters, we had to have thicker plastic. And if that still came to the same point, it would be too dangerous. So we went back and I looked at all the designs I had done, and I never used that point that was sticking up there. I always used it from this line that I have on it now down. So I thought, well, cut off the point, we'll be safe. So that's why that looks as strange as it does. But with that, we can make wedges like I have in this quilt here. Easily make wedges any size you want. That's one of the benefits of the Star Maker master templates, and it's why I call them master templates. We can make miniature, that high, to really super big with these same tools, because the angle doesn't change when the size changes. The Star Maker 6, not only does it make any kind of 6-pointed stars, it makes perfect hexagons. That's one that people struggle with in quilting, and quilters tell me, they did that once, like they'll never do it again. Well, if you really like hexagons, now you have a quick way to do them. The Star Maker 8, not only will it make 8-pointed stars, like I have here, it will make flying geese, it will make fans, it will make kaleidoscopes, like I have here. As I said, the book and the DVD have over 140 shapes that you can cut with just the 3 Star Makers. And what I suggest that you do as quilters is when you read a magazine and they give you a template, put the Star Maker on top of the template. And if the angle fits, then there's no reason why you can't cut a strip and then cut the angle with the Star Maker. And you'll eliminate some of the stuff that isn't as much fun as finishing your quilts. Now, I love to teach these techniques, and I've taught, well, pretty much not quite all over the world, but my first out of the 48 states was to Hawaii, so I've taught there, and in Europe, quite a few places in Europe, in the Caribbean. In fact, that brings me to our cruises. I teach on quilting cruises about once a year. If you haven't been on one of our quilting cruises, you are missing out on a good time. We have lots of fun, lots of good memories, and we do get to teach and do quilting also. And I do seminars, and the latest thing I've been doing is teacher certification classes, where people can actually come, make a project of their choosing from my techniques, and then they can go out and teach my techniques so the word will spread that we can make quilting as easy as possible. So if you get a chance to be in one of my classes or to meet me at one of the big shows in Paducah and Puyallup and Houston, be sure and stop by and say hi, because all of you are my friends. And we have a good time with quilting, and I want you to make more quilts, but basically have fun doing it. That's what it's all about. So be sure and, like I said, come to one of my classes and I'll be glad to meet you. And you can always reach me by email. You would be surprised at the email that we get. People sending us pictures of quilts they've made using my techniques. And we'll put them up on our website. We like to share the thing because you come up with many more ideas than I've come up with even. And I really like to see that. But you know what makes me the proudest is when somebody wins a prize at a quilt show or a contest because they've used one of my star makers in making their quilt. I feel like I've won that prize because I don't make my quilts to get prizes. I make my quilts to simplify things for you. So be sure you can join us there on our website or our email or Facebook. You know, we're out there everywhere. And just because we want to be in touch with you, the quilter. So be sure and keep up with tips, quilting the Kaye Wood way. Kayla, tell me a little bit about, what exactly do you like and how do you like to go about it?
I like the view and do's the best actually because they've really brought in like the different things that you can do. Like with the diamonds, you have the Yellowstone pattern, you have all these cool things that you can do that you never did before with the other tools. So that's what I really, really like. And the circle one made it really easy to applicate these on here, which I really like because it kind of makes it that they just jump out. Okay. And I really like that.
So you're going to help me make more easy things for quilters?
Yes. Yes.
Okay, that'll be fun. I'm waiting to see all your designs now. All right, thank you, Kayla, so much. Hi, I'm Kaye Wood, and I have a special treat for you today. I want to introduce you to the newest quilter in my family. Hi there, Kayla.
Hi.
This is Kayla Rosiska, and she's my oldest granddaughter. Some of you have noticed her at shows, because you've been going to shows with me for a while.
Yeah, about 3 years, I think.
So some of the quilters out there have met you and have had fun with you.
Yes.
But recently, I was teaching a teacher certification class, and I didn't have anyone to help me, so I called on Kayla, and what happened, Kayla?
Well, you wanted me to make a quilt with you, and which I was really nervous because I've never made a quilt before. I've never been sewed before. So we went to Joann's to find some fabric, and found out that we both have totally different style and fabric. It took forever to pick out fabric, but I finally found what I wanted. And I started working on the Blazing Stars pattern, which is this one right here.
And how did it go?
This one was actually easy till you left. And then I started having a little bit of problems, but I'll get there.
Yeah, I know you will. You did a good job. It was surprising because that's not the easiest pattern.
No, you picked the hardest one for me, actually.
That's a good place to start when you have a good teacher with you.
Yeah.
And now I want you to take a look at this quilt, the circle quilt. Tell them a little bit about these fabrics.
Well, I found a really cute quilt pattern that I wanted her to make in her own way, but I told her it couldn't be old fabric. I wanted something edgy, something young. So I sent her out on a mission to find something, and this is what she came back with. And at first I was a little hesitant on it, but then once she made it, I actually really like it.
Why were you hesitant?
Because I wasn't so sure all these colors were going to go together.
Okay, that's the hardest part for quilters, isn't it? Mm-hmm. Choosing the fabric. And you tend to see the fabric in big pieces and not small pieces the way they'll go together.
Right.
And now we have something coming up in June.
Yes, we are going on a cruise.
A quilting cruise.
Yes, which I'm very excited about.
Okay, we're going to the Caribbean.
Mm-hmm.
But we've been there before, haven't we?
Yes, we have on our family vacations.
Right. We tend to go on cruises every year with our family, so that's been fun. So I have to work in the quilting cruises around the family ones.
Work, really?
You work? All right. But it's been fun watching Kayla because up until the time you took this class, you weren't interested in quilting, were you?
No, not at all, actually. I wasn't.
Now, what happens when we go shopping? Where do we go?
To the fabric department.
Yeah, and you like taking my credit card, don't you?
I do, but I've always liked that.
Oh,
That's not anything new.
Okay. But Kayla has sort of pushed the envelope a little bit and forced me to look at some of the newer colors, and that's been exciting to do. And I want to thank her for that. That's been great. Sometimes I still use my old favorites, though, don't I?
You do, and I don't like them. I don't.
Well, that's why now we're making usually 2 sets. We're making
Yes.
one in the colors you
One
like.
for me, one for her.
Right. Works out better that way.
Yes, it does.
Because the fabrics don't blend, do they?
No, not at all.
Okay. Well, it is sure great having you. It's fun to travel with you and to be inspired by your color choices, and it's opening up a whole new world, and we need new quilters.
Yes.
Okay, so Kayla is one of the quilters of the future. She is addicted now. So I think we're going to leave and go out to the fabric shop. How about it?
That sounds like fun. Let's go.
Hi, I have another tip for you for quilting the Kaye Wood way. Do you know about the infamous Y seam? Let's take a look at this block here. This is a Y seam because it looks like a Y, and it's used in a lot of quilting patterns, and quilters sort of groan when they mention a Y seam because it seems to cause them problems, but I have eliminated all those problems for